The year was 1900. Singapore's harbours and godowns swelled with cargo from trading ships from around the world. Coolies plied bustling streets while merchants struck deals in shop houses across the growing landscape. This was Singapore, a thriving port city. And yet, while the rich enjoyed their mansions, social clubs, and suburban estates, the lower classes lived in cramped, unsanitary conditions, which triggered death from diseases like tuberculosis and malaria. In spite of the problem, little was done to address the issue of general health care. Qualified doctors and surgeons were reserved for the British ruling elite and the military. For the rest of the population, traditional Chinese sinseis and Malay bomos provided their only source of reprieve. While Singapore did have one government hospital, there was still an urgent need for more doctors to serve the local people better. This need was recognized by a remarkable man named Tan Jiak Kim. Born in 1859, Tan Jiak Kim hailed from a prominent Straits Chinese merchant family in Malacca.
Chinese Babas were very progressive in the sense that they were very open to new ideas. That was one reason why I would say they became very rich. Into the late 1890s, they were very, very prosperous. They had made a lot of money from tin, from gambia, from pepper. They also moved in a new area called rubber plantations.
Jiak Kim's grandfather was Tan Kim Seng, an eminent philanthropist, best known for his pioneering contributions in building civil infrastructure, schools, and healthcare services. Like his grandfather, Jiak Kim carried on the tradition of giving back to the common man.
He was a very passionate Singaporean. From 1890 to 93, he was also an unofficial member of the Legislative Council. That is the law-making body of Singapore. So he had the power and the relationships and the connections with the government to introduce reforms. Tan Jiak Kim fought for the provision of water and better supplies for the street hawkers and the rickshaw pullers.
In 1904, he would do more and petition to start Singapore's first medical school. The colonial government agreed to the school's formation on one condition: $71,000 had to be raised. Tan Jiak Kim not only raised the required amount, he exceeded it. Together with various community leaders, a huge sum of $87,000 was collected in just 3 months, with Tan Jiak Kim personally donating $12,000. In 1905, the Straits and Federated Malay States Government Medical School was founded at Sepoy Lines, in the location of a former lunatic asylum. It offered a 5-year course to train doctors in medicine, surgery, and midwifery.
It was the first institution of higher learning in Singapore. In fact, the whole history of NUS traces back to the medical school.
Even after this, Jiak Kim's fundraising efforts for the school and other worthy causes continued. He spoke passionately and relentlessly for the working class and never faltered till his death in 1917. Nonetheless, the seed that Jiak Kim had planted, the medical school, continued to grow. From a single building to a full-fledged college with a lecture theatre, library and museum, ongoing gifts from various donors helped the school to expand and realize its potential. In 1921, it was renamed the King Edward VII College of Medicine. Students came from all over Malaya to become doctors. The school kept growing in size, quality, and recognition through the decades. But everything would suddenly change in 1941, when World War II descended upon Singapore. Pulled into the conflict, 200 students joined the ranks, working tirelessly to tend to the wounded and dying. But even they were not spared. 11 students were killed when bombs fell on Tan Tock Seng Hospital. When the war ended, 200 students returned to resume their education.
I was given a Singapore bursary to study medicine. We had very good clinical teachers who made us think logically. Clinical medicine was very interesting. It was like Sherlock Holmes, trying to diagnose the disease. And at the time, we had very little technology.
You see, in those days, we didn't have all those facilities like MRI, CT scan, and so on. All we have to use your sixth sense, all the senses to diagnose the patient. And the beautiful thing about medicine is, when you diagnose the patient correctly, and when you see the patient get well, wow, that is the best reward you can ever feel. When in my first year, we had electrical rationing. I was staying in the hostel. So there are some days we had no electricity. So I was very happy not to study. But those who are conscientious, they used to rush up to the library. That was the only place where there was light.
The standard of school was well recognized, and eventually we were recognized by the General Medical Council of England. In other words, Singapore graduates could go and practice in England without having to go through an exam.
The school has produced generations of doctors, nurses, and community leaders from all walks of life. Many of its graduates have played a defining role in Singapore's healthcare, with landmark achievements across various fields. Over the next 50 years, the institution continued to evolve. In 1949, it was renamed the Faculty of Medicine at the University of Malaya, eventually becoming a part of the National University of Singapore and moving to Kentridge in 1983. In 1985, the National University Hospital was established, serving as the principal teaching hospital for the school. But another transformation was yet to come. In 2005, 100 years after Tan Jiak Kim and other community leaders rallied together to kickstart the institution, the NUS Faculty of Medicine celebrated a century of education. That same year, a landmark event would move Singapore's healthcare education to the forefront when the Yong Lu Lin Trust gifted the school with $100 million. This monumental gift created new opportunities for research and training, as well as providing a boost for its infrastructure.
So I would say it's truly transformational. The Singapore government matched the gift. So we had an incredible gift become even more incredible.
Since 2005, we've had at least 3 new buildings that have been set up in the campus. And this has allowed us to expand our resources, our facilities for doing groundbreaking research. And it has also allowed us to conduct teaching in much more conducive environments and to try more cutting-edge techniques. The wonderful thing about these transformational gifts is that they don't just provide money for new buildings or facilities, they actually change our view on things. Suddenly our expectations are much higher, our ambitions soar through the roof, and it opens up a whole new horizon for us. We no longer want to be a good medical school in Singapore, we want to be the best in the region and the world.
From its pioneering class of just 7 students, the School of Medicine has since produced over 10,000 medical professionals, all from an act of giving.
My name is Shannon Lee Sing Sing. I'm a scholarship and bursary recipient from Yong Lu Lin School of Medicine. I think the financial aid has made a significant difference to my years in university. I had spent my earlier years of medical school giving tuition up to 4 times a week because back then I was just really concerned about my school fees. But after receiving help from the school, I began to actually being able to focus on becoming a good doctor. And also, I think above and beyond just studies, it has given me room in my heart to grow in other areas, like becoming more confident or becoming someone who understands what it means to give to people.
If I could say anything to the people who have contributed to the school over the years, all the wonderful donors, I would say, first of all, thank you very much. Your gifts have really helped us. But probably more importantly, I'd like to tell them that you made very good choices in giving to the school. What you've done is not only just going to help one generation of doctors, it's going to improve the lives of many, many generations of Singaporeans going forward. And maybe even beyond Singapore to the region and the world. So well done, you made a great choice and we really appreciate it.
With the continued support from various benefactors, the spirit of philanthropy lives on, growing and giving back to medical excellence.